We are on the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. I am your host, Mark Ross. And with me this afternoon, well, this afternoon for me, I don't know how it is for my guest here because she is in Portugal. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. All right. You are or was a naval chaplain, right?
I was.
You are a wellness coach, Reiki Master, and a speaker. Miss LaToya Zavala. Miss LaToya Zavala, please welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. I'm so grateful to be on Speak Your Truth. I love the title of this podcast, and so I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be connected with you and just serving our community in this way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. As we spoke before the show, you live in Portugal.
I do.
Tell me how is life over there in Portugal? Because I don't think none, bro, sister, has ever taken the time to visit that place. What's it like?
Now, it's so true. You know what's funny is, and I believe it's like, it's a hidden gem that's getting more and more and more discovered these days. But I've met so many people who have like visited Europe, they've been to France, they've been to Spain, and they're like, I didn't get to Portugal. I didn't go to Portugal. And I'm like, that is so unfortunate because Portugal, wow, such a beautiful place, energy, people. The culture is warm. The culture is accepting. The culture is, for the most part, I want to use the word docile. It's very calm, very secure, very balanced for the most part. Culture, family oriented, very slow pace of living, which allows you to be more family oriented. It allows for a creed of enjoy life, live life, and
Breathe.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe, and just a mixture of, beautiful cultural, beautiful natural landscapes. And at the same time, like juxtaposed against all of these castles and, first century ruins and, ruins from Roman times and, just all of this very ancient and old structures and environment and energy. And so it's just a really interesting place to be. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Wow. I can't imagine. And I've been in the Mediterranean part of the world where you have Spain, Italy, France. I've been around that area of the world, but I can honestly say I haven't been anywhere north.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I know it's common. It's
That's
common.
So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what comes to mind right now, I think, to give a really like a clear picture, is around Christmas time, one of the normal pastimes is to hop city to city, but really castle to castle, because every city has a castle pretty much. And so you kind of hop to the major castles because they do up the major castles and all the decorations and events and, the food and drinks and play for the kids and culture. And it's like, but it's from castle to castle. right? And this is just such a normal thing, you know? It's like, oh, this time, you know, which castles you're going to. And so it's just a totally different living atmosphere, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's rewind the LaToya Zavala clock for a second and talk to us about what it was like for you growing up before joining the Navy.
Mm. I grew up in Boston. Big up Boston. Okay.
Boston.
I know it's some haters out there, but listen, big up all things Boston. Red Sox, Bruins, Patriots,
Oh,
right?
oh gosh.
I know it's some
Oh.
haters. I know some haters, but oh, so I grew up in Boston.
Uh,
First generation of Jamaican parents. So
that's what's up.
typical Jamaican immigrants came here, worked their behinds off, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Sometimes my mom was working while going to full-time school, right? So that kind of environment where it was like, no, work your behind off and go get what you want. And so I grew up in that.
Mm-hmm.
I, though unfortunately, experienced some sexual assault and exploitation in those early years. So there was this mixture going on in me where there was like this trauma, but then there is this, but we make it, but we work hard and we make it. So when I came out of eventually my teenage years, late teenage years, I was coming out of a domestic violence situation, and I knew that there was more, and I knew that I wanted to go back to school, and I knew that I wanted to serve. I knew that I wanted to help people heal. I knew that I was designed and now experienced for that. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that there were people who were going through some traditional methods of healing and maybe falling through the cracks or not getting what they need. And I wanted to be a part of that. I could not go back to school though in the States because I couldn't afford it. And because of my history in domestic violence, my credit was shot, my reputation was shot. It was just I was in a really, really bad situation, in a really bad place.
Mm-hmm.
And um, so someone suggested to me, hey, you know what? Why don't you just go outside of the States? And I was like, my family's Jamaican. So it was like, just go back to Jamaica. And I had the thought, I was like, no, if I'm going to go out of the States, I want to get a new culture, new experience, maybe new language. You know, I want to really expand myself. And so that's what I did. I left Boston. I went to Mexico. I did most of my undergrad there. And then I did some missionary work. I lived in Kazakhstan for almost 3 years.
Nice.
And yeah, so I was about that life, right? There were some really ugly things going on with the partner that I had from domestic violence and other things. So it was, you know, a mixture of fortunate things where I want to get out and I need to get out. And um and I made the choice to get out. So yeah, I'm so now I'm like I'm studying, I'm traveling, I'm serving, and that's pretty much what life was about. And in all this travel and serving, I'm also continuing to heal. I'm continuing to grow. I'm continuing to learn myself again. I'm
Okay.
continuing to trust myself again.
Okay.
Um, Continuing to understand what it really, really takes to heal from the depths of those kinds of trauma. And so that's what life was like before military.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So, and that's cool because you know I've come to understand, LaToya, that how old you are doesn't necessarily reflect wisdom or knowledge.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because we're always in the process of learning something, right?
Yes.
And not only learning something, but but retaining it. We retain it. It's like when the light bulb comes on and you say, okay, I get it.
Yes.
I didn't get it then, but I get it now. I get it. And sometimes it does take people to step off their comfort zone and do different things to really find who you are.
Yeah.
And no, I don't think that we do that enough to take time for us.
Yeah.
To get to know who we are, right? We spend so much time doing for others, doing for others, doing for others. And it's like we said earlier, sometimes your body tells you to sit your ass down. And you know, when you have that moment where you know life kind of sits you down,
yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
Learn,
Yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
learn you. Love
Learn
you.
you.
How about that? So yeah, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you for that. Um, I wanted to ask you though about learning more about who you were. Uh, what strength did you gain from that experience?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Woo.
yeah. It's time to get the shovel out and dig a little deeper. Yeah, yeah.
You know, Mark, I'm so grateful for this question. Because I really believe the truth is you don't know what you're capable of until you know. Right?
Right.
You have no idea what you're capable of until you know.
Mm.
And you know, part of what I teach now is you get to understand that the truth is you are infinite potentiality. There is infinite potential within you. And it's too sad that too many of us limit ourselves. And we limit ourselves verbally first, right? We've already, I know I'm going to come to me personally, I promise. But we and there's a reason I'm bringing this up, right? Because I have heard so many times, oh man, I wish I could, right? When I'm like, yeah, I did most of my undergrad in Mexico. Oh man, I wish I could.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm fluent in Spanish. I speak Russian conversationally. I speak Portuguese conversationally. Oh man, I wish I. Yeah, I have knowledge to. I do have knowledge to play the piano, the clarinet, the baritone sax, and the cello. Oh man, I wish I could. This I wish I could is a limiting behavior, right? That we have been taught. And this is what I learned. When I was on the plane the first time to Mexico, my first time, I was on the plane. I was sitting next to a guy. I was by myself. I don't know anybody in Mexico. I have no family. I have no contact there, right? I just knew that I'm going. I need to get out and I want an education and I'm going. So I'm on the plane and I'm sitting next to a man. I didn't ask him what his job was, but he told me it is a part of my career. It's a part of my job. I am required to learn a different culture and a different language every time I go into this space to operate. This man knew some 12, 13, 14 languages.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And he said to me, he said, how comfortable do you feel with Spanish? And I was like, well, I learned in high school, but I'm not. He said to me, this is what you do. This is what you do. And there's somebody listening here like, okay, let me learn this, because I'm trying to learn a new language. He said, this is what you do. When you get there, read something out loud 10 to 15 minutes every day. Whether you know the definition or not, don't look up definitions in the dictionary. Don't try to make sense of it. Just read it. Just read for 15 minutes every day. This is going to help you with fluency. Yeah, do your apps, I mean, there wasn't apps in my day, right? But now do your apps, do your books, do your learning, but read out loud 15 minutes every day. Let me tell you something. He was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. It has helped me with fluency in every language that I have decided to embark on. Why I'm bringing this up is I learned within myself, whatever it is that you want to do, you can. And there are methods and there are ways. Like every time I hear somebody say that, I wish I could just like snatch the words out of their mouth. Stop it. Yeah. I wish I could. No, you can. You can, right? Can. Yes. And that is the first thing that I learned about myself. You can. You can. Right? I never understood that because I came from trauma and a domestic violent relationship where I was told over and over and over and over and over and over again, you can't. You can't and you won't. Mm. You can't and you won't. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, there was a teacher, African-American teacher, a math teacher, I'll never forget it. He came into the study hall and he asked me, so you young lady, what is it that you would like to do? I think I was either a sophomore or junior. He said, what do you want to do when you leave? And I said, well, I want to do, I think I want to do forensic psychology because I really wanted to help that mind, the criminal mind. And he said, well, that requires a doctorate. And I said, yeah, I know. And he said, well, you're Black. Where do you think you're going to get the money from? You better find a plan B. Okay. So yeah. And here's the tragedy, Mark. I believed him. I believed him because there was already an undercurrent belief that I can't. Right. And so anything that was in me that was trying to believe maybe I can was shut down. Right. So here I am now, and I am following his one little piece of advice. Right. And I'm following the instinct and the desire. I'm following what I call inspired thought. And I'm in there and I realize that I can. My major at the time was theology. I was studying theology in Spanish, and part of the theology degree was to study Greek, ancient Greek, and I was studying ancient Greek in Spanish. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? I was studying ancient Greek in Spanish.
So you were studying a different language from a different language.
Yes. Yes. At the end of my second semester.
Super genius.
When I always thought, I can't. You hearing me? At the end of the second semester, my professor, who studied his PhD in the United States, so he spoke English, but he never spoke to me in English because he was not going to give me that. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the second semester, he said to me, because at the end of the second semester, I'm in the place where I am tutoring my Mexican counterparts. You hearing me? Mm-hmm. He said to me, after he hands me my grades and blah, blah, he said to me, you know, I want to congratulate you. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I didn't think you was going to make it. He never told me that, but that's the energy he was carrying. He said, I didn't think you was going to make it. He said, because I could not see how you could study a third language from a second language. He said, I just couldn't see it. I didn't think he was going to make it.
And you showed him.
I want to say that I became, right, a different version of myself. I became a higher and better version of myself. I was driven. I understood that I can. When I got to Kazakhstan, you know, Russian is a totally different beast than Spanish.
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And but what I was experiencing there, I had to learn it. And what I mean by that is it wasn't many Black people walking around in Kazakhstan. And they could see me coming from a mile away.
Sure.
They were still in transition, I want to say in transition from communism, right? Becoming their own country. So there was a lot of lawlessness happening, a lot of bribery, a lot of you didn't know who was actually law enforcement and who wasn't. It was a kind of a dangerous place. And me being of a different color, like, and not knowing the language, they could see me coming from a mile away, and it was dangerous.
Mm.
I needed to learn the language. And so, yeah, I got a tutor and I started studying and I started speaking. And of course, you know, they see me, they immediately assumed that I didn't know what was being said. But I had the advantage,
Yeah.
right? Because now I do know what's being said and I can also act like I don't know what's being said, right? I had the advantage. But what I continue to learn about myself is no matter how difficult it is, I can. And it starts with the belief I can. What does it take? I can. What does it take? I can. What does it take? Right? When I got to Japan, well, this is military now, but when I got to Japan, my son was in Japanese kindergarten. And this is funny. And one day he came home and I told him to go take a shower. And he was about 5, 6. And he responded to me in a kind of a way that I felt was flippant, but it was in Japanese and I didn't understand. And I was both in awe and incensed at the same time.
So he caught attitude with you in Japanese.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what you said, but I know what you trying to mean.
Right.
That night, you understand me? I downloaded Primsler. That night, I said, "Oh no, you ain't gonna no, that's not about to happen. You ain't about to flip off of me Japanese. I'm about to understand what you're saying." and I and I started to, because I had already ingrained, right, from this, I can, and I'm about to, right? And it's not a matter of time because my husband was stationed in a different city. Because of my position, I was on call 24/7. I really didn't have a lot of help. It was a very difficult situation. But eventually I had to wash the dishes, so that was my study time. That was my study time. And I hate the dishes, but it was an incentive for me because, okay, when I wash the dishes, I know I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm growing, right? And so that belief, I can, oh man, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
everything.
You're,
Yeah.
you're manifesting, positive results. And a lot of us, and I think we as people, LaToya, we tend to uh talk ourselves out of potential blessings.
So easily.
Yeah,
So easily.
because we don't think we can. And then you have people like that guy who shot you down with no effort. And you believed it. It's like, oh, well, maybe he might have a point. It makes you scratch your
Yeah.
head. It's like we have to walk in such a manner that nobody can come at us and throw any arrow or a seed of a doubt. You know what I'm saying?
Right there.
We have to be that strong, and it requires faith and it requires belief in yourself, and we have to do that more because we don't. I mean, we are so quick to, and I always, and I'm gonna say this in our community, and you might notice we tend to be this crab in a bucket. We have this crab in a barrel mentality where, you know, I ain't shit. So you ain't
Yeah.
gonna shit, and I'm gonna hold you down. You know what I'm saying? Oh, doing this barrel with me, you know. I ain't gonna be the only one to hear like shit. So you're gonna be shit too, you know. So we got that. We got that mentality, man.
We do. And what I need for us to understand, you know, and I teach this vehemently to the people I work with, is that was given to us, right? That was given to us. We didn't come here with that. We were not born with that. That's not who we organically and naturally are. We were given that so that we could stay down. And the more we understand that is the more that we're able to give that shit back, because it's not ours. It's not ours. It was not organically ours. Organically, we serve each other organically. So we can get back to that. It's layers, Mark, right? So we will, somebody listening here and be like, that ain't me, I don't do that, right? But we can be doing it so subconsciously. We can be doing it energetically without saying anything. You're not saying it, you're not tearing down, but you are also not supporting. You are also not spending your money or your time or your energy there. You are also seeing your brother or your sister out there trying on social media and not pressing like or not sharing or not, you know what I mean? It can be so small, it can be so subtle, and yet so impactful. You know, it's as simple as this. I made a post, I posted one day, make a comment in what you're calling in this year, and let's just pour light and love on each other. And one person said, I'm calling in the love of my life. And another person commented something like, good luck with that. Why? You see what I'm saying? It can be so small, so subtle, but energetically, what have you just done? And for what reason? Right? The maxim, hurting people hurt. We get to go back to who we really are. We get to go back to the core self. We get to go back. We get to give that shit back.
Give it back, yeah.
Give it back.
Yeah, I don't want
it. Right? Because we don't want
refund.
Full refund. Because we don't want what the intention was. It's not enough to say, oh, they want us to stay where we are. They want us to, you know, stay in poverty. They want us to stay. It's not enough. We have to give those habits, those practices, those beliefs, those behaviors, we have to give them back. It's not enough to just say, oh man, we be like crabs in a bucket. Yes, the solution is us.
Always has been.
Always has been.
But we're too stuck doing this.
Because it's
Come
comfortable.
Back here.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
Commiseration is comfortable.
Yes.
It's comfortable for us to say, oh man, we broke like a joke. It's comfortable. It's comfortable to say, you know, and I ain't got, you ain't got, right? It's comfortable to listen to the music and be like, yeah, we come the projects, you know, it's comfortable.
And you can identify with it. But the sad part about it is, it goes back to what you said earlier. That's not who we are.
That's not who we are.
And we shouldn't be glorifying this negativity. We shouldn't. Take it back.
In any way, shape.
Full refund. Full refund. I don't want it. Full freaking refund.
Full.
Oh, full. I don't even want the money back. Just take this stuff. Just take it.
Just take it.
Take it. Take it. Because This ain't it.
It ain't. And we got to get to the place where we're tired of it.
Hey, I'm tired of it. That's why I'm speaking out about
That's
it.
why we here, right? Come on, speak
Yes.
your truth. I read an article. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I can't remember if it's Merrill Lynch or I can't remember which financial institution. So please forgive me. But there's a financial institution and they have a section where they talk about the divide of wealth. I remember reading an article about the division of wealth in our country among races. 2019. And I remember being disappointed. And I read an article about a month ago, and it said that the gap is widening, not closing,
Getting wider.
widening. So we have been saying for years, oh, the problem is education. The problem is education. We don't have the access to the education of wealth. That's not true. Because we have access now. Oh, you got that phone. and you got the updates. Oh, you getting the updates. Oh, listen, you got access.
I said in a rant that I did, and I posted on my YouTube channel a few weeks ago during MLK Day. I said, we're living in a day and age where we have so much technology at our fingertips, but we're dumber. We're dumber.
Boom.
I said our educational system is totally effed up, and we don't take. I mean, they're passing kids through just to get kids through, and they're not learning jack.
Nothing. And not speaking from theories or conspiracy theories, but it has to be something behind it where it's intentional, where they're just passing and allowing and graduating and still cannot read.
Something's wrong. Very wrong with this.
Something is wrong. And we as a society are okay with it. We have to rise up. And it starts with us. It starts with us. It starts with us. It starts with us.
Amen to that.
Come on. We got to stop watching these ghetto fights outside of Walmart and this and that. We got to stop that shit. Stop it. We are hook, line, and sinker buying, right? We're buying our own demise. That's what's happening. We're buying and soaking up and absorbing our own demise. And the wealth gap is getting wider and wider and wider. The education gap is we have never had more access than we have right now. Never. Our children have iPads in school. You and I didn't have that.
Absolutely not.
Right? So we're talking about access. Okay, right? So now is the time. Now is the time. I don't know, whether you believe it or not, but in numerology, this is the year of the 9. It's called the year of completion. So whether you believe in numerology, you buy into it or not, guess what? Tap into that energy. This is the year of completion. We get to complete all of the BS, right? Complete the wasting time, complete the procrastination, let it be complete. Complete, giving our energy to the destruction of ourselves, let that be complete. Giving our energy to the things that's being fed to us on the news that only creates more rage, more anger, more disappointment, more depression, because the solution is us. So we've got to come away from that and let that be complete in your whole body, your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body. Decide today it's going to be complete. The wealth gap, I'm deciding. For me, it's going to be complete. That wealth gap, I'm closing the gap. For me and my next generations, I am the solution. I'm closing the gap. I'm closing the cycles. I'm closing the cycles. Yes. This year is going to be complete. I am inviting every listener right now, man, woman, boy, girl, whatever your race, nationality, creed, culture, decide that you're going to be in the energy of completion. We've got to complete the BS because we have things to do. We have things to change.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And we're going to get into the energy in a minute, but I want to know, what made you join the Navy and become a chaplain?
You know, it's real simple. So I mentioned I came out of a domestic violent relationship. There was a lot of trauma that was happening within me. I was on medication. I had been to a psychologist. I had been to I had been to a hypnotherapist. I had been to a psychiatrist. I had been hospitalized for suicide behaviors twice. I had been through, and I had been to a pastoral counselor. I had been to all the things. And I felt that in the traditional places, I didn't get what I needed. I felt like I fell through the cracks, whatever the reason might be. I wanted to be a part of the solution for the people who the traditional lines are not working for, and they also fall through the cracks. I wanted to be part of the solution. At the time, because of the way that I grew up and my background, I felt that this was going to be through spiritual work. So my degrees are in theology, my bachelor's, my master's, my postgraduates, they're all in theology and spirituality. And the purpose was always to help people heal. So when I was doing my postgraduate, I was a chaplain in the hospital. And the issues that I felt most passionate about, experienced in, and therefore talented and gifted in, were two, and that was domestic abuse and suicide behaviors. And I really wanted to work in those veins, and I wanted a place where I could serve that population. And unfortunately, these are internal wars that are continually happening in our military. My husband was active duty and often would bring sometimes sailors to the home and be like, he needs some help. And so it was a natural progression for me. You know what? I'm going to come in active duty as a chaplain to really help be a part of the solution for these internal wars, suicide behavior, and domestic abuse. And that was the reason. And that was always my focus. And although I helped people from all walks of life with all walks of trauma, but that was always my focus, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you did 20 years?
I didn't. I did a little over 10.
As a chaplain?
As a chaplain.
Okay, but you did 20 altogether. So you did your 20 and you got out.
No, I got out before 20. I got out before 20.
You said,
I got out at about 12.
Wait a minute. You said, wait a minute. Oh, I don't think
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I was at a very critical point. I was getting ready to be promoted. There was a certain president in office. And I told you my focus was to help domestic abuse, sexual abuse, And the things that were coming down under that commander-in-chief, having experienced what I experienced and having helped thousands of people suffering what they suffered, I could not support. I could not consciously support that.
Mm.
And it was a lot of mixed messaging because, unfortunately, a lot of leaders and commanders think that that kind of behavior is okay. And I knew that my soul was expanding. I knew that. And therefore, the purpose that I felt called to on this earth was also expanding. So to help people fully be free, I needed to come out because I could not fully operate in helping people be free under that command, right? So I know that a lot of people labeled this kind of talk. You can grab them by the P whenever you want to because you have money and power. And then we excused it and we justified it, while there are literal women dying under that belief. And we elected a commander-in-chief and we said, it's okay. And what people don't understand is that this is, in fact, an energetic frequency that reverberated. Yeah, and I heard, I won't say the rank, but I heard someone of a really, really high rank echoing. And what was on the tip of my tongue to come out would have stripped me of my rank and maybe landed me in the brig. And I knew in that moment, it's time to go. Because I will not salute it. I won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah.
So I am not in any way, shape, or form in judgment of those who are still there and who are still in uniform. Everyone is called to different levels of the work. But I knew I was not going to do that. And I knew that I needed to come out. And it was a very critical point because I was selected for a position that would have promoted me and I would have been there. And I would have been amongst many of these ranks under this commander-in-chief, under this energy, and my soul would not let me do it. No. So I needed to come out and then speak to the value, the value, the worth, the freedom, the frequency of words that are being spoken over you. Yeah, I needed to do that, Mark.
Yeah.
I needed to do that.
And bless you for that, because I think it's been proven that many people weren't as strong as you. I think many people wanted to, but they didn't have the courage to do so. Or like you said, it goes back to that word too, complacency and comfortability. I'm like, oh, this is comfortable.
It's comfortable, yeah.
Comfortable, yeah. But in truth, comfortable for who? I'm not comfortable with this.
Right.
You weren't. So
You
you
were.
had to make a decision. Stay and play or call it a wrap. It was the choices is simple. It's simple. Stay and play or bail out. You chose to
Yeah.
bail.
I had to go.
You had to go.
I had to go.
You couldn't co-sign the BS.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't
Mm.
do it. My daughter was just born. She's about a year old. And again, no criticism or judgment for those who stayed and are called to stay and doing what they're doing. But in my expansion, in my path, I could hear my daughter asking me, did you salute him? No, hell no. I just, no,
Right.
hell no. Because I need for her to know she's worthy. I need for her to know she's deserving. I need for her to know that she's a queen and she deserves to be respected. I need for her to know that she doesn't get to be treated any old way, whether it's in the locker room or because of position or race or power or whatever it is. I need for her to know you don't need to bow to that from anyone, period.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking, so you you mentioned a lot about energy, frequency. That
Yeah.
goes to my next question about you being a Reiki master.
Mm.
What got you? I want you to talk about your work as a Reiki master and what got you involved in that.
Right. So, true to form, it's always been my desire to help people heal, right? And when I find something that works, I'm like, y'all got to get in this, right?
Yeah.
And on my way out of the military, so I'm doing all of my, I'm doing my workups and my exit workups and all that, right? And I'm in, and I'm experiencing pain, extreme pain. I'm experiencing pain in my neck and I'm experiencing pain in my knees. I got the injections in my knees, they didn't work. The what do you call it? When they're making the predictions of what's probably going to work out, probably not going to work out for you, right? Was the word that was coming. And and I'm in a lot of pain. And so I'm doing the physical therapy, I'm doing the acupuncture, I'm doing cupping, I'm doing the most, right? And so I'm just out there and I'm just doing things. And at this point, I'm not really expecting anything to work. I'm just doing the things and documenting, right? Because that's what we do. It's military. Do the things and document. And I get to this massage therapist and she asks me, hey, do you want massage or Reiki? And I was like, well, I don't even know what Reiki is. And nothing really works. So I'm not really, just do what you do. And she said, okay. I went to her twice. And both times I had a profound experience with energy movement. And with the energy movement, I felt relief in the pain. And I could literally feel the pain travel. And it happened twice. And it was so profound to me that I took my middle son, who we adopted from the state of California. And with his trauma, he needed to go and get some therapy, some help. And the wait list was 6 to 8 months for a 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy who experienced severe trauma. And I was like, I have to do something for this boy. So I took him with me to Reiki. And his first time, never knowing what it is, I never explained to him what to expect or what. I just said, we're going to go see someone and she might be able to help you with some things. He got on the table, had a nap and had no idea, about the energy movement or anything, woke up and told me about his profound experience that he felt energy like fire. He didn't use the word energy, but he's like, I felt like fire run through my body. And he was like, it was so cool. It was a positive experience for him. And then he had a visualization of himself. So it was a very profound experience. And so positive, profound things, healing was happening. So I kept going, and she was like, I think probably you need to be attuned so you can continue to work with your family. And really, it was just a natural progression because it worked. And I was like, I need to do this for myself, for my family. And as I'm doing it for my kids, and it's helping my son who used to have night terrors, it's helping him sleep, it's helping him be in peace. I'm like, I gotta bring this to the people that I'm helping. And so that's how it started. And I studied and I studied and I practiced and I worked and I studied and I became a Reiki Master practitioner and started offering sessions outside of the military to people, and they were having profound healing experiences up until this day. So it really, for me, was a matter of it works. And I get to shed some of the beliefs about energy work that I had before, because it works and it's helping, and it's in fact even saving some people's lives in some cases. And so for me, as I'm reading, as I'm studying about energy and seeing how science is coming to the place where, guess what, our cells are literally vibrating energy, that we are, and because we are a community of trillions of cells that are vibrating, how can we not be vibrating like an energetic field around us? We are literally vibrating continually, right? So there is an energetic field, and they are coming more and more and more and more to the understanding of what energy is biophysically in us. And now how these things are relating to us. So now there's research more and more and more about the frequency of sound and how it interacts with our natural frequencies, that organs in our bodies carry their own natural frequency. But what happened was they fed us the word woo and told us, if you go that way, you're crazy. Used it for themselves and kept it from you. When it has been it is us organically, first, number one. Number two, particularly Black and brown people from different cultures, ancient Eastern cultures, Asian cultures, they have been practicing this from the beginning of their civilizations. So we are now getting back to our organic selves, right? When they called naturopathic doctors kooks, and now we're getting back to that. We're getting back to the earth.
Were so kooky, huh?
They weren't so kooky, were they? We're getting back to that. And I'm like, let's get back to who you really are. It isn't magic. It isn't witchcraft. It's getting back to who you are and how you're made. And using, maneuvering your own body and what I would call your own power to be in health, to be in wealth, to be whole, to be balanced, to be in peace.
Well, how do you use Reiki to release negative energy and those blocks, if you will?
It's funny because I was just talking to my group about this yesterday. When I'm in a Reiki session, And I ask people who have never done energy work before, and I ask people, okay, when you think about this thing, whatever it is, a relationship, getting ready to start a new business, you feel fear, you feel anxiety, whatever you're feeling, right? Let's say the person's like, I feel fear. And I ask them, okay, just take a moment, center. I guide them in the meditation and we go into the energy. Take a moment to center. Where in your body do you feel it? I have never had one person tell me, I don't know, or I can't feel it. Because when we really truly are connected to ourselves, we know exactly where. You'll feel it. You'll feel an uneasiness, or you'll feel a heaviness, or you'll feel a tightness or a tension. Your body will tell you, and you will feel it. And the person will say, oh, I feel it in my shoulders, or I feel it. And there are certain cultures that generationally and habitually carry certain things in certain body parts, right? And so again, where I'm guiding you back into yourself. And so this person said, oh, I feel it here. And then, okay, now we breathe into it. We connect with our own energy. We send what needs to be sent, and your body will tell you what needs to be sent. Is it love? Sometimes we got to speak truth to the lies that were poured into your body, to the negativity that was poured into your subconscious, to the limitations that were poured into your subconscious, right? We're really working with the subconscious and the energy. So where is it? Let's find out what it is. Let's change that with words. Words carry frequency.
Yeah.
Let's now embody and embrace. So now we're activating the cells to create a new memory. Sometimes it's tapping, because we're activating the nervous system to create new cellular memory regarding what it is you're feeling and why you're feeling it, and being able to move forward. And sometimes some people feel release in one session. For some people, it takes a few sessions. And when it's released, you feel the release. You feel the release. It's pretty profound what can happen when you give yourself the space of your full potential. When you give yourself the space of your full potential, it's pretty amazing what you can do for yourself. Yeah. Those are in short terms. But it needs to be experienced. It really can't be explained away. It really needs to be experienced. And it is your body. It is your energy. It is your field. It is your power. It is your potentiality. It is your consciousness. It is your belief. It's your raising of frequency in your thought and your belief in your words, in reconnecting to your body. Somebody tell me what's unnatural about that. It is you.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. And I'm assuming that that's what got you also into the speaking realm, based on what you've been through and what you've learned.
Yeah. I've always been a speaker in some way, shape, or form, right? Because again, my training is all theology and it's pastoral. Before that, right? And I was doing pastoral work, and in the military as a chaplain. So, and I'm speaking, right? And I'm doing the speaking things.
Okay.
Yeah, I I fully understand the power, the frequency of our words. Like, I'm so tuned in. And when I'm speaking to people, and it literally grates against my soul when we're using words that lower your frequency, your energy, your potentiality, right? It literally grates against my spirit. I'm so tuned into that. So this is why it's important for me personally, to speak about these things. I want for us to be in our full potential, for us to be in our freedom, for us to be in our purpose. Because I really, really believe the more of us that are full stand in our purpose is the more change we're going to affect for ourselves and for the next generation. I really believe that. So for me, speaking is a way of like really changing, right? Projecting higher frequencies into a world where there's so much low negative frequency being projected onto us on a daily.
Mm. Mm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sharing our stories, because so many of us think that we're experiencing things alone and isolated. And when we share our stories, that's when we relate to our potential, right? And to our humanity.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's what speaking is for me. For me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. I could go on and on and on
Right?
and on. I
So
mean,
good. So juicy.
yeah, yeah. I could go
Yeah.
on and on, but my time is up.
Mm.
And I would love to have another conversation with you.
Yeah, let's do it. I would love to.
Talk more about this, and you know, uh, I think we touched on a lot of good stuff today, though, because
Mm.
it is important for for people to know that power lies within themselves.
Yes.
They have to know that it's easily accessible, but you have to talk it out, right?
Yes.
And I had a conversation with my wife yesterday. I think it was. Um, we talked about things that we don't know,
Mm.
because we talked about how certain people present themselves in certain environments, which it so many people would think that it would be very unbecoming of certain of women to come to church provocatively. And she said, maybe it's because they weren't shown how to be dress appropriately. Um, they weren't shown how to speak appropriately by their parents, and it's because their parents weren't raised appropriately to speak and do certain things, and so on and so on. We have to break the cycle of ignorance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
do.
And judgment.
And just right, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it made me at that looked at myself, and it made me look at that situation from a different lens, because my wife always looks at things from a different lens than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
that, right? But her 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 eyesight is a little different from mine. uh,
Mm-hmm.
you did what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Her eyesight is a little
Yeah. Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
So
purposefully so, because that's how we help each other.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
but I have to be open enough to listen
There it is.
to her perspective.
Yeah.
Of us aren't.
Yeah.
We have to get out of our own way.
Yes.
Once we figure that out, once we figure out that we are in our own way, And we need to stop co-signing the ignorance and get in touch with ourselves. Like you said, we have to get in touch with ourselves. Once we do
right
those
there.
3 things, it's a new ball game.
It's a new ball game.
New ball game.
Absolutely.
New ball game.
Absolutely.
What they say, you can't tell me shit.
You can right?
Can't tell me shit.
Yeah.
That's real talk, though.
It's real talk.
You can't tell
It's
me
real
nothing.
talk. It's oh, I was just gonna say, even in that conversation, it's even deeper than that. We are wired for love and acceptance, to want love and acceptance. And if my whole life it's modeled for me that I get love and acceptance by dressing this way, then I will dress this way. You get what I'm saying? If I don't get attention unless I dress this way, I'm going to dress this way. That's the way it is. So if my whole life, the music video says, this is how I'm valued, right? The movie says, this is how I'm valued. The book says, this is how I'm valued. When I walk the streets, I don't get any love or attention. But when I walk the streets this way, I do get love and attention. And I'm not really getting love and attention at home that's really wholesome and fills me. Then I am going to dress this way. So it's really interesting because it's a catch-22. The same person usually who is judging me for dressing this way is also applauding me. Is also rewarding me for dressing this way. Do you see what I'm saying? It's subconscious. Right? It's even if you're going scripturally, right? The same person who was throwing the prostitute in the street was with her behind the doors, right? It's the same person with the walking the street, and then like, dang. Oh, but then when you see her in church, all of a sudden you got judging eyes, right? It's a catch-22, and so it, like you said, it's layered and it's leveled, and it goes so much deeper where we get to say no to the BS, to the bullshit that is continually projected on us, and really, truly, like for real, begin to love ourselves.
That's it.
Like for real.
Real.
Understand ourselves and love on ourselves and on each other. Like, oof, when we get there, oh, you can't tell us shit. What?
You can't tell us nothing. Can't tell us nothing.
Which law? Can we rewrite this? That's where we would be.
Where we would be.
I believe that.
Yeah. I'm gonna read this part of scripture for you, and I'm gonna end it from Philippians 4, verses 4 through I got 4 through 9. Verses 4 through 9. All right. Here it goes. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you. LaToya Zavala, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, brother. I do.
Yes. You have yourself a good rest of your day. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Ross, and this has been the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. Please remember, self-care is important. So make your mental health and your physical health a priority every day and do it first. LaToya, peace be with you.
Peace be with you.
Right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.